Thank you, Jim. That wraps up Channel 7 News at 5:30.
Channel 7 News at 6 is next.
Coming up on Channel 7 News at 6 o'clock, a University of Miami medical student is beaten to death. Police say the killing might be racially motivated. Police continue their search for the gunman responsible for a shooting massacre in North Dade. And President Bush tries to revive his campaign at the Republican National Convention. Live Team 7 coverage coming up on Channel 7 News at 6.
You're watching South Florida's news station, WSVN 7. Pitts, Sanchez, Daniels, Lovett. This is Channel 7 News at 6.
5 people are arrested and charged with the beating death of a University of Miami medical student. Good evening. Police say this man died because of his race.
He is Vietnamese, and while he was at a party last night, a fight broke out. Police say other partygoers were beating him up simply because he is Vietnamese. Channel 7's Carlos Harrison with our top story.
Today, they're charged with hating, with beating a man to death just because he's Vietnamese. The victim, Nguyen Phan Nguyen, a second-year pre-med student at the University of Miami, beaten to death by as many as 12 attackers.
They beat him so severely that he became unconscious and was not breathing. He ended up being airlifted to the Broward General Hospital, placed on life support systems, and he died 5:30 this morning.
Today, 5 of the alleged attackers are charged with second-degree murder. Brad Mills, John Liptak, Michael Jamerson, Michael Primato, with the Confederate flag and Semper Fi tattooed on his arm. He just got back from Marine boot camp last week. Also charged, Chris Anderson. Saturday night, they were together here at a party in Coral Springs, police say. The party was here in E203, and it was there in E203, police say, that someone made a comment to Nguyen about his being Asian. He said, "Meet me outside," and police say they did. The fight began here.
Excuse me, Danny, did you know Lou very well?
The people who hosted the party don't want to talk about it.
No one is that who speaks for.
Neither did friends of the alleged attackers. But apartment resident Carmen Davila and her husband were among the first to reach Nguyen Saturday night.
My husband see all guys running, and he go and check it out, and the boy is in the floor. It's terrible, never happen here because it's good play here.
The men chased Nguyen into this grassy area, then pounded him until he stopped breathing. People who knew him couldn't believe it.
Lou, he was just basically a nice guy, you know, I don't really know how to describe him, you know, he's just really smart and never did anything to anyone.
Nguyen never came out of a coma. Carlos Harrison, Channel 7 News, Coral Springs.
Police say they expect to make more arrests in Coral Springs. They say it is definitely a bigoted crime from what they're able to tell. Right now, the state attorney's office is trying to decide whether they're going to be charged, these 5 young men, under Florida's new hate crime law as well. And coming up in about 15 minutes, Channel 7's Olga Villaverde is going to take a look at the recent crimes that have been going on in the area of Coral Springs. Is crime on the rise in what used to be an exclusively neighborhood suburban area in northwest Broward County? Olga Villaverde's report in about 15 minutes.
A shootout over the weekend at a Jamaican restaurant leaves 4 people dead and 17 others in the hospital. Now, there were plenty of witnesses to this, but so far, nobody has come forward with enough information to track down the killers. Channel 7's Susan Kelleher is in Northwest Dade with the latest on this one. Susan?
Well, Sally, 2 days after this bloody massacre, this Jamaican restaurant, Taste of the Islands, is shut down and boarded up. And the people who survived this gun battle are clamming up. Many of them don't want to talk to police. Some of them fear retaliation by a Jamaican posse. And for investigators trying to find these 4 or 5 gunmen, the biggest stumbling block could turn out to be fear. The shooting spree turned a birthday party into a bloodbath. Teenagers saw 4 of their young friends gunned down, another 18 injured. Now survivors of this gun battle are so terrified, police are keeping their identities a secret. Many fear if a Jamaican posse did this, talking to the cops is asking for trouble.
It's very clear to anybody that was there that these people, whoever they may be, will shoot. and they're really not very concerned with whom they shoot when they start shooting.
FDLE's Caribbean Crime Unit is actively searching for suspects by computer. Based on witness statements, they punch in names of posse members to locate possible suspects, gang members who are very likely hiding behind several different identities.
If they're in the country illegally, you may have no record of that. If they have good fictitious identification, you may have a problem tracking down their real identification.
And tonight, this is what investigators do know, that some type of semi-automatic weapon was used inside this club. They're looking for at least 4 black males, all under the age of 21 as the trigger men, and they're working with some street names for these guys, but they need your help. If you have any information at all leading to the shooting, they want you to call Dade County Crime Stoppers at 471-TIPS or 471-8477. And remember, any information that you have that leads to an arrest in this case, well, you could get a reward of up to $1,000. Reporting live from Northwest Dade, I'm Susan Kelleher. Back to you.
Thank you, Susan. Meanwhile, Broward Sheriff's officers today say they now have found out the identity of a woman found in West Hollywood yesterday. She is 45-year-old Bonita Kuhn. She was found beaten and bound with a belt Sunday morning on the side of a road. She had absolutely no identification on her and was taken to a local hospital. Today, a semi-conscious Kuhn was able to tell police her name. She has a record of drug and prostitution arrests. Police are still looking for her attackers.
A horrifying murder. Police say an upset boyfriend couldn't handle his girlfriend dumping him, so he killed her. Police say Joseph Calandra of West Palm Beach beat the woman with pliers, slashed her wrists with a razor blade, and drowned her in a bathtub. Her 2-year-old daughter heard the whole thing from another room. Calandra is being held tonight without bond. A man is shot and killed after a fight over a bicycle. It happened early this morning at Northeast 2nd Avenue and 26th Street in Miami. Police say a teenager saw Jorge Medina riding his bike and asked him for it. Medina allegedly told the teen he'd sell it to him for $20. Police say they argued. The teen allegedly left and came back with an Uzi and fired more than 15 shots. One of them killed Medina. Tonight, the 17-year-old is charged with first-degree murder.
A high-speed police chase through Northwest Dade lands a police officer in a hospital. Miami Shores police say they began chasing a car that was stolen from a Publix on Biscayne Boulevard and 93rd Street. Metro Dade police then joined the chase. Soon after, the 2 suspects bailed out of the car, but police managed to catch up with them. Tonight, 2 are in jail. 1 officer is hurt. His leg was possibly broken in the chase. He was taken to a local hospital.
More tonight on Metro Commissioner Joe Gersten. He is still trying to get out of giving a sworn statement to the Dade State Attorney. Last Friday, a judge ordered Gersten to answer the state's questions about the night his car was stolen. Well, now Gersten is appealing that order. There are conflicting reports about the night that Gersten's car was stolen. Gersten says it was stolen from his Coral Gables home. But 3 known criminals say it was stolen from a crack house while Gersten was inside. Where will the William Lozano retrial end up? Today, a Dade County judge moved the case back to Tallahassee. It's not that simple, though. Today, Dade Judge Thomas Spencer sent the trial back to the Capitol, Lozano being retried on charges that he killed 2 black motorcyclists in Miami 3 years ago. But before the case can go back to Tallahassee, a decision has to be made whether it's legal to move it there again. Now, no telling when this game of judicial hot potato will end.
There's a breaking story that we're just now getting. We understand a police officer has been injured somehow over on Miami Beach. Glenna Milberg is standing by now with more on this story. Glenna, what do you got?
It's an accident. An elderly white female apparently rear-ended a police officer at 67th Street and Indian Creek Drive. Paramedics have airlifted the officer to Jackson Memorial Hospital. He is conscious, complaining of back problems and some paralysis. Now, we understand the elderly woman was also complaining of some chest pains and a bad ankle, and we're not sure whether she had those chest pains before the accident, but she is being charged, we are told, with this accident. Now, police have not released the officer's name yet because they are just now notifying his family, and when we have an update, we'll certainly bring it to you. For now, live at the news desk, Glenna Milberg.
All right, Glenna, we thank you for that report. Well, tonight, Inside Politics, the Democrats having their party. Now it's the Republicans' turn to party up. The Republican National Convention got underway in Houston today with President George Bush counting on the delegates to ignite his very much sputtering campaign. Channel 7's Mark Ludner and Kelly Mitchell are in Houston for the convention. We begin with Kelly, who's high up above all the action at the Houston Astrodome. She is in a skybox. Not bad, Kelly.
No, it's not bad at all. And the rent's kind of cheap, too, on top of that. Not a bad deal, all things considered. The delegates, though, aren't here. They're at their dinner break. They will probably be back in about 2 hours, so no need for those big headsets. It's perfectly quiet here. President Bush is also here. He has arrived in Houston, so all the players are finally in place. There are a few people wandering in on the convention floor, and that, of course, is where Mark Ludner is. Now, the Florida delegation is way across the Astrodome floor. So, Mark, take it away.
Kelly, no fireworks here on the convention floor so far today. The convention approved without a floor fight a controversial hardline stand on abortion. Now, let's get you oriented. We are in front of the Florida delegation with a great view of the speaker's podium right over there. High overhead on the ceiling of the Astrodome, huge salami-shaped nets full of balloons. The Republicans here hope that after these balloons fall down at the end of the week, George Bush will be off the mat and back in the fight. Hoping to make this home sweet dome, the Republicans began a 4-day convention aimed at hyping George Bush and hammering Bill Clinton. That's the job of keynote speaker Phil Gramm, himself a 1996 presidential hopeful.
There's no reason to worry, but there's every reason to focus our attention, get on our horse, pull out our sword, and use our spurs to drive the horse forward.
And how much driving does that GOP horse need here in Texas this week? Check these poll-pourri numbers. The New York Times CBS poll shows President Bush trailing Bill Clinton 52 to 35%, a 17-point spread. The number 2 man on the ticket has arrived in the Lone Star State. Dan Quayle is a big star among Republican conservatives, and he's expected to play a big role here this week. Conservative superstar Ronald Reagan, the grand old man of the grand old party, is tonight's headliner. About an hour ago, we watched the 81-year-old former president get the feel of the stage he'll be using when he bestows his blessing on George Bush. That's tonight. Ronald Reagan will speak. So will right-wing icon Pat Buchanan. In fact, Mr. Buchanan, who is a very hard right-winger, probably would be amazed to know that his speaker's podium actually is in short left field when the Astrodome is set up for Houston Astros baseball. Out in deep center field, let's go back to Kelly in the skybox.
I'll bet they keep that a secret, Mark. No doubt about it. Well, to hear George Bush talk, he is in his hometown tonight, but not everybody who lives here is happy that Houston is where he hangs his hat. George Bush, tall Texan or telling a tall tale of being Texan? Texas for taxes, some say in Houston, and they put together a tour to prove it.
Then you can make your own judgment about Brother Bush and his tax program and Brother Bush and his Texanness, which is very important to us here.
Like Florida, Texas has no state income tax. Saved the Bushes 59 grand last year by claiming they live here, which they don't. But when they are in town, this is home, the Houstonian Hotel. A $600 a night room they get for $264.
Bush spent all 3 days in the state of Texas, all of them in that room, in 1991. That is the same amount of time that he spent in Japan. And we may be the ones being barfed on in this case.
Outside, a few more taxpayers who don't think the president quite has his finger on the pulse. But the Bushes do own some Lone Star land, say they'll retire on this tiny piece of Texas, 33 feet wide, 160 feet deep.
By the looks of the lot that he claims he's going to move to, unless he gets a double wide, there isn't anything else that's going to fit on that lot.
He's talking trailer here. That is, if it doesn't go to the dogs.
Maybe this is going to be Millie's home.
Well, Millie's not here, but George and Barbara are, and tonight they go to a rally at the Astro Arena, which is right next door, and that's the first step at hopefully recharging his campaign. Live from the Republican National Convention for Mark Ludner, I'm Kelly Mitchell. Back to you.
All right, tonight, Kelly, Mr. Buchanan and Mr. Reagan, I understand. All right, we're going to have those 2 speeches for you as our convention coverage continues right here on Channel 7 News at 10 o'clock. We will obviously be going back to Kelly and Mark in Houston. Sally?
In 7 News around the world, floodwaters settle in North Carolina as residents brace themselves for even more rain. Talk show host Geraldo Rivera is busted for fighting at a Klan rally. And the sun might be to blame for the cancer that's come over one of Metro Zoo's main attractions.
You're watching Channel 7 News at 6 with Sally Fitz and Rick Sanchez.
Channel 7 News brought to you in part by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision-crafted performance.
In the world of luxury automobiles, you expect aerodynamic styling. A beautifully crafted, leather-trimmed interior, the uncompromising safety of drivers and passenger side airbags, and the superior performance of a 24-valve engine. You just don't expect it to be so affordable. The Acura Luxury Lease Program. It's more than a lease. It's a legend.
Growing up, my uncle was always there to talk to explain the world. It's hard being so far away now. Last spring, a flood hit his place hard. We each wired him a MoneyGram from American Express. We could count on it, and it's a lot less expensive than Western Union, and that helps. We may be all over the country, but our hearts are in the same place.
MoneyGram from American Express. The better way to wire money for less.
Buddy Evans has it all.
No wife, no kids, no house, no mortgage. What else could you ask for?
Now he wants something more.
I want to have a child, an heir, you know.
But finding the right woman is easier said than done.
Any history of insanity in your family?
The next thing you know, they're going to be asking me to take my pants down.
Oh, not yet.
I think it's good to get these things out in the open.
Lauren Hutton, Beverly D'Angelo, and Burt Reynolds, Paternity.
Tuesday on the WSVN 7 Movie at 8.
In 7 news around the world, we begin in North Carolina. Record-breaking rains have caused flooding in the eastern part of that state. Roads are closed, and many residents evacuated. Forecasters say that more rain is on the way.
In Baghdad, the head of the United Nations Arms Inspection Team is calling their mission a success. He says relations with Iraqi officials are now back to normal, but he wouldn't say whether the team was able to inspect the government ministries. Those areas were off limits to the team before. The team's expected to leave Iraq sometime tomorrow.
Washington, D.C. Memorial services are held for an ABC journalist killed in Sarajevo. Producer Dave Kaplan was killed by a sniper while he was out on a story with correspondent Sam Donaldson. Police say that if Kaplan had been wearing a flak jacket, he might have survived.
In Somalia, U.S. relief is on the way to this African nation. The U.S. military team is scheduled to arrive in Kenya today. These are some of the latest pictures. The figures say 1.5 million Somalis are just moments away from starving to death. Sadly, many who don't starve to death are getting caught in the crossfire of what is one of the country's worst civil wars ever.
Wisconsin talk show host Geraldo Rivera is arrested at a KKK rally. Geraldo was interviewing members of the local KKK chapter there for an upcoming Geraldo segment, and apparently the member he was talking to said something offensive, and Geraldo pushed him. Both men fell to the ground fighting, and it took 5 police officers to pull them apart. Tonight, Geraldo is free on bond. He says he's still going to air the segment in the fall.
California firefighters are battling a huge forest fire in Calaveras County. 1,200 acres have burned so far. More than 300 people had to be evacuated from their homes. Firefighters say the hot, dry weather is not helping matters any. 3 firefighters have been hurt battling this blaze.
The city of Coral Springs has been the scene of some grisly crimes lately. Is this small, upscale community in Northwest Broward becoming a haven for crime? And vets at Metro Zoo working to save a white tiger who has cancer.
Drain your brain of those bonds and stop. Leave your time clock ticking on the dot. Just let go in the keys. Sea breeze swaying, night and day playing. Hang your stress out to dry. Just let go. Let go in the keys.
Come on, just let go and see your travel agent. Give us a call at 1-800-FLA-KEYS.
I'm a single parent, couldn't prove my income. That all adds up to, sorry, try someone else.
Well, you obviously got a loan from somebody.
Metropolitan Mortgage. I had equity in my home, and that's all that mattered.
Property-backed taxes, high-interest credit card.
Lot of bills.
I applied for an equity loan at every bank in this county. They turned me down. Metropolitan Mortgage didn't.
Stop by the office nearest you, or from anywhere in Florida, call 1-800-EASY-YES. 1-800-EASY-YES.
I'm Lynn Martinez, live in the Channel 7 newsroom. Coming up at Channel 7 News at 6:30, a chilling footnote to 3 brutal Florida murders. A killer writes his victims' parents. An amateur video that supposedly shows the Loch Ness Monster. We'll let you decide. And no one's laughing about Woody Allen's latest adventure. It is the real-life shocker behind his breakup with Mia. Penny Daniels joins me for these stories and a whole lot more on Channel 7 News at 6:30.
This is incredible. Burdine's 2-day sale. Take 50% off all Simmons bedding, including Beauty Rest. Tuesday and Wednesday only. Buy now, don't pay till February.
Wake up to the home sale of your dreams.
All cars are made with sheets of metal. But one of these sheets is actually a sandwich of steel, resin, and steel, used by Lexus to help quiet the cabin of the LS 400. Care to guess which one?
So you spend time each week helping the homeless.
Yeah,
Well, what do you do?
well, I try and help them to help themselves.
So how do you do that?
Show them a picture of a homeless family that the Salvation Army programs help get back on its feet.
A family you worked with?
Yeah, my family.
At the top of this newscast, we told you about the beating death of a young man. It happened in an area known as Coral Springs, a place you might not normally associate with crime. But lately, the suburb has been the scene of some horrible crimes. That is why today, Olga Villaverde went out to the area to find out what's going on in Coral Springs.
A quiet, peaceful suburban area, nice homes, security, lots of land. Not exactly the place you'd expect to see crime unfold. At least that's what neighbors say.
No, not here. We haven't heard too much of it.
It doesn't happen that often. It doesn't even never hear anything like that.
But just this past weekend, crime hits Coral Springs. Friday, a former elementary principal is found murdered in the trunk of his car at the Walmart. Saturday, a 19-year-old student beaten to death in a party. Police say it was racially motivated.
I don't know their motives why they're coming in here. I don't know. But I guess, like you say, it can happen anywhere now.
Even in an area many people call a bedroom community.
Coral Springs just recently became the biggest city in West Broward. Since the 80s, its population has more than doubled. And that means more shopping centers, more stores, more people, and possibly more crime.
38% of our population under the age of 21. So we have thousands of youth, and I think that has contributed to the youth crime.
And the city of Coral Springs is beginning to see it firsthand.
The increase in crime overall really hasn't been too great this year, but the increase in violence has gone up this year.
Violence that is shocking a community not used to seeing or hearing about it at all. Olga Villaverde, Channel 7 News.
Right now, we're being told by people in the area that they plan to organize more youth groups to keep kids away from possibly getting involved in any crimes.
Tonight, the race is on to save a rare white tiger at Metro Zoo. Vets have discovered the cat has cancer. Last month, vets were doing a yearly exam on the tiger, and they found some lesions. Well, those lesions turned out to be cancer on her lip and eyelid. And she may have gotten it from too much exposure to the sun. Vets say that this kind of cancer is common in white cats.
And we believe that's because they don't have enough melanin pigment to filter out the ultraviolet rays, so it makes them more susceptible to that kind of cancer.
Vets hope that a new radiation method will put the cancer in remission, and from now on, this tiger is going to be staying out of the sun during peak hours. Well, it seems that cats are fast becoming America's top choice for pets, replacing dogs. But according to the Humane Society, there's also been a rise in violence against felines. More cases of torture, beating, and burning are being reported, and right now, nobody knows why.
In the headlines from Cuba, coming up, the number of refugees trying to make the float to freedom in rafts to this country is up.
The Battle of the Beers is bubbling over. We'll explain.
And on 7:30, Beverly Hills 90210 stars say their fame doesn't match their fortune. The question is, does the show need them, or do they need the show?
I'm Steve Adams, the Channel 7 Weather Center. All eyes are on Tropical Storm Andrew out in the middle of the Atlantic right now. Still no danger to anyone around here, well over 1,000 miles away from the Antilles. But let's take a look first at our conditions here in South Florida. Looks like it's going to be a pretty good weekend, and the rest of the week looks pretty good also. So stay tuned, we'll have that for you in just a minute.
They've been called the most dangerous couple in America. But who are the real Bonnie and Clyde?
I never want you to leave me.
I promise. Now, for the first time, their true story is revealed in a world premiere motion picture. 12 people dead, and you had them in your sights. See how they became outlaws, lovers, legends.
You take whoever you need. Don't let them shoot first.
Bonnie and Clyde, the true story.
Tonight on the WSVN 7 Movie at 8.
Sometimes the best way to get things rolling is to get back to basics. All across America, people are rolling up their sleeves and going back to school. And at Walmart, we're rolling up our sleeves and rolling back prices on hundreds of items for back to school to save you money. Whether you're shopping for the new kid or an old pro, get back to basics. Get back to school. Get back to savings with Walmart. Always the low price, always.
Tastes pretty good. What kind of hamburger is this?
Spamburger hamburger.
Oh, I see. You cut it this way, and it makes 3/4-pound burgers.
That's a good deal.
Spamburger, 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 spamburger. Well, Spam was made with ham, right? So really, this is a hamburger.
Get Spam Luncheon Meat or new Spam Light, and you've got the Spamburger. It's one great tasting hamburger.
Something wild. Something wacky. Something funny's going on at 4 o'clock.
What?
When did this stop?
It's the Golden Girls Comedy Hour.
Get out of here.
I think it's great.
It's always been good. I've been having a very good time, and there wasn't even a man in the room.
Twice the laughs, twice the fun. The Golden Girls Comedy Hour. Weekdays at 4 only on WSVN 7.
It's a riot.
Well, the weather in the tropics is beginning to act up a little bit right now, but let's first of all check our neighborhoods and see what we have. In Miami, it's 87 degrees, winds out of the southeast at 12, humidity 70%, 88 degrees down in parts of the Keys, 89 further inland. Tropical Storm Andrew being watched by the hurricane watchers right now, and it's still chilly on the East Coast, along with wet and damp and other forms of wet stuff. Colorado thunder will continue to be a problem out west. But first of all, let's take a look at the conditions around our neighborhoods. Here you can see on live radar, not much going on. The heaviest band of showers stretching well to the north, well to the west of the lake and northwest of us. Just a few scattered light sprinkles around our neighborhoods. Not a whole lot right now. Let's check on Tropical Storm Andrew and see what the latest position is. As of 5 o'clock, we have 13.4 north latitude and the longitude 45.3 west. Winds are 45 miles per hour. That's Andrew right there swirling about in the middle of the Atlantic. The condition of its movement right now out of the west, or moving toward the west-northwest at 23 miles per hour. And as it does so, it's still 1,050 miles away from the leading edge of the Lesser Antilles, so not a whole lot of danger to anybody right now. But it does show some signs of strengthening, and overnight we'll watch this storm, and we'll have more for you on that at 10 o'clock. Around our neighborhoods, once again, Florida, South Florida looking pretty good. Lots of sunshine today till a little bit of afternoon moisture came ashore there. The heavier showers and thunderstorms along that frontal system, which just does not want to go away. That stationary front hanging in the East Coast seems like it's been there for about a week now. It's got a new zip code and everything. It's just going to stay there. But what it's doing is producing heavy amounts of rain, large, intense cells right along the Mid-Atlantic coastal states, down along the Carolina coast in North Florida, and then back into the Gulf Coast. It's not moving, but what's happening is the cooler air coming in behind it is continuing to feed with the warm, moist air being fed up that frontal system along the East Coast. It's just going to be wet for the next little while and doesn't look like it's going to change. Out west, thunderstorms across Colorado moving into the plain states now. Nebraska, Kansas getting their share all the way up into Minnesota. And our overnight looks pretty good, really, by the way. 76 degrees for our low interior section, 78 along the beaches. It's going to be partly cloudy with a couple of sprinkles left around, but they'll rain out very quickly, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And for tomorrow, again, some sprinkles around, highs near 90. Here's the boating forecast for the boaters on Dayton-Broward coastal waterways. Winds out of the southeast, 10 knots, seas 2 feet. Bay waters will have a light chop. And long range looks pretty good, too. Highs near 90 degrees and a partly cloudy sky with a sprinkle or two now and then. That looks like it's going to be a typical weather pattern for us for the next little while. Rick, Sally?
All right, thanks a lot, Stephen.
And that wraps up Channel 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Coming up next, though, letters from a killer. We're going to show you what a deranged ex-cop wrote to his victim's parents.
It is not all Democrat bashing at the Republican convention. Some are bashing the GOP.
Woody Allen's latest love is no laughing matter. It's a romance shaking up the entire family.
And Monster Mania sweeping Loch Ness, Scotland again, thanks to a new amateur video.
Penny Daniels and Lynn Martinez are going to join you with these stories and a whole lot more right here on Channel 7 News at 6:30.